She pushed through the polished doors as the room watched a man die. In a boardroom full of tailored suits and the quiet of disbelief, she dropped to her knees and did what no one else would. 2 rescue breaths, steady compressions, relentless hands refusing to stop. He coughed, lungs filling, the world exhaling relief. Instead of thanks, she was dragged away, shoved, called obscene names, then shown the door. She saved his life, then lost everything. Who punishes the person who kept a billionaire breathing, and why does compassion become a crime? The sirens came fast. Blue and red lights flashed against the glass towers as paramedics rushed in, their calm professionalism slicing through the chaos. She stepped back when they took over, hands trembling, shoulder throbbing from where someone had struck her. No one looked at her. Not one word of thanks. Just a CFO glaring like she'd dirtied the air. "Who told you to touch him?" He hissed. I was just... Get her out." She was escorted out the same way she'd come in, through the service hallway where the floor smelled like bleach and sweat. Her reflection in the elevator door looked foreign, streaked with tears, uniform stained, hands still shaking. But she'd done everything right. He'd been dying. She'd saved him. That should have meant something. By the time she reached the bus stop, the city had gone quiet. The wind off Lake Michigan cut through her thin coat as she stared at her palms, still marked with red indentations from chest compressions. Somewhere downtown, that man, the billionaire, was alive because of her. At home, the world was smaller. 1-bedroom apartment, faded wallpaper, her mother asleep in the recliner, oxygen machine humming softly beside her. Her daughter, Daisy, waiting by the window with a teddy bear clutched to her chest. "Mama, you're late," she whispered. Maya forced a smile. "Just a long night, baby." She tucked Daisy in, brushed her hair back, and sat in the dark long after everyone slept. The bruise on her shoulder throbbed with every breath. Somewhere in the city skyline, a man she'd saved would wake up to a second chance. She just didn't know she'd lost hers. The morning after, Maya returned to work hoping the nightmare had passed. But when she reached the building, the security guard blocked her path. "Sorry, Ms. Williams, you're not cleared to enter." Her stomach dropped. "What, I work here?" "Night crew." He didn't meet her eyes. HR's orders. Within hours, she was fired for inappropriate contact. No hearing, no explanation. Just a sealed envelope with her final paycheck. On her way home, she scrolled through her phone. The photo was everywhere. A blurry still from the boardroom camera, showing her leaning over Richard Kane, their faces inches apart. No context, no CPR, just a frame frozen in accusation. The comments were merciless. "Gold digger." "Disgusting." She wanted attention. By nightfall, her name was trending for all the wrong reasons. Her mother watched the news with disbelief. "You saved him, Maya." "They don't care," she whispered. "They just see a black woman who touched someone she shouldn't have." The days blurred into one another. Job applications unanswered. Neighbors whispering, Daisy asking why people at school were talking about her mom. The city that she'd once cleaned to shine now looked like it was closing its doors around her. Then, one evening, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "He's asking about you." Her chest tightened. He could only mean one person. Richard Kane. Hours later, in a penthouse glowing above the city, Kane watched the security footage again. The truth played out frame by frame, the collapse, the chaos, her determination. He saw himself die and live again through her hands, and he saw how his board, his company, had destroyed the woman who saved him. He called his head of security. "Find her." 3 nights later, he stood outside her apartment door. The hallway smelled of damp plaster and despair. When the door opened, Maya looked smaller than he remembered. But her eyes still burned. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "I should have come sooner." He stepped inside, saw the faded walls, the empty fridge, the exhaustion written across her face. "You saved my life," he said softly, "and I let them ruin yours." Maya didn't answer. She just stared at him. This man who had everything, standing in the ruins of her world. "Why?" she whispered. "Why now?" "Because the truth matters," he said. "And I can't breathe knowing what they did to you." 3 weeks after the video ruined her life, Maya stopped checking her phone altogether. Her savings were gone, her mother's medication was running low, and the rent notice had turned red. Most days she walked Daisy to school, then sat in the small park nearby with a cup of dollar store coffee. Half cold, mostly air. She tried not to think about what had happened. But the city had a cruel memory. Everywhere she went, she caught fragments of whispers. That's her. That's the one. Then one morning, her mother's oxygen tank sputtered and died. Maya rushed her to the nearest hospital. Not the one she'd cleaned, not the one she'd been banned from, but another across town. The waiting room was crowded, fluorescent lights humming, the smell of antiseptic thick in the air. She sat clutching the clipboard when a voice behind her said softly, "Maya." She turned. It was him, Richard Kane. He looked smaller than she remembered, pale, hollow-eyed, wearing a hospital ID and a look of quiet shame. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The world seemed to fade into background noise. "I remember you," he said finally. His voice was hoarse. "They told me no one came. That security found me alone." Maya didn't answer. Her throat was too tight to speak. "I saw the footage," he continued. "What they did to you. What they let them say. I didn't know." Her hands trembled. "You didn't want to know." He nodded, slowly. "You're right." He sat beside her, folding his hands. "When I woke up, the board said it was a misunderstanding. They made me sign statements to protect the company. I didn't even question it. I just let them erase you." The silence that followed was heavier than anger. Finally, she whispered, "I lost everything because I tried to save your life." He looked at her, tears catching in his eyes. "Then let me make it right." But she didn't smile. "Didn't move, right?" she repeated softly. "You can't give me back my name. You can't make them unsee what they saw." He swallowed hard. "Then let me tell them the truth." And for the first time, she saw something real in him. Not pity, but the weight of guilt. He stood, walked to the nurse's station, and spoke to a man in a suit she hadn't noticed before. A lawyer, a journalist, she couldn't tell. Cameras flashed. Voices rose. By the end of the day, the story was everywhere again. But this time, different. Billionaire CEO breaks silence, janitor, was the real hero. Maya watched it from the hospital hallway. Her mother sleeping beside her, Daisy's drawing tucked in her bag. She didn't feel vindicated. Not yet. But for the first time in weeks, she felt seen. The story didn't end with Richard's confession. If anything, that was just where the world started paying attention. When Kane Global released the footage, the full, unedited version, the silence of the boardroom hit harder than any headline. 7 men standing still while one black woman fought against death, ignorance, and fear. Every second of it played on national television, and the world saw what she'd lived through. The same voices that once mocked her now whispered her name differently. Maya Williams. Not the janitor scandal, not inappropriate conduct, just the woman who refused to let another person die, even when the world wanted her to disappear. Months later, she returned to the same tower, not as a cleaner, but as the new director of employee equity and well-being. Her first demand was simple: no more back entrances for janitors. Everyone walked through the front door. She didn't care about redemption or fame. She just wanted fairness, because in the end, survival wasn't her victory. Visibility was. One evening, she took Daisy to the park. The air was soft, pink with sunset. A stranger stopped her near the bench and said quietly, "You don't know me, but my sister works in cleaning. She said because of you, their company started offering safety training and medical classes. She says she feels seen." Maya smiled. "Not proud, just human. I'm glad," she said simply. As the sun dipped lower, Daisy tugged her hand. "Mama, people finally know you're the good guy." Maya looked at her little girl, bright eyes, wild curls, future wide open, and said softly, "No, baby. They just finally stopped pretending not to see me."